folks, welcome back to another video. Thanks for joining us, thanks for coming back to see what we get up to here. If this is your first time to the channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Ben Cardall, author of the best-selling book The Monographs, which details how to develop the real-world application of the skill set of Sherlock Holmes. And I now spend my days teaching people from all over the planet how to do it themselves, and as well as consulting on a couple of cases myself. Today we have well, it's a video that from the looks of the screenshot would be rife with information for us to use, but it's not a very pleasant thing to look at. It is Trezell and Jacqueline West, who are having a number of accusations thrown at them regarding their two missing sons. I've seen their names. What is it? Olsen and Orin, or something like that, I believe. I'd probably have to fact check that, to be honest. But yeah, so the way it's written about, these videos were sent to me in one of the comments on one of the other videos as well. Well, some of the comments, to be fair. But the way it's written about, it's got a very sort of Madeleine McCann vibe about it, in terms of the details regarding the neglect from the parents and the stories that need picking apart as a result. Okay, so first up we've got the interview between Trezell and Jacqueline that they gave outside, but particularly from a face reading standpoint, what I enjoy, which is weird to say out loud, I enjoy about the challenge of this is that they're wearing masks, right? Due to the pandemic and the situation where they are. Most of their face is covered, so that provides a unique challenge for us in terms of upping our game for accuracy and congruence. Least of all, let's not forget that magic word, context, right? Context is key to everything. These types of stories are particularly incendiary amongst parents, those who have maternal or paternal feelings strongly, whether they have kids or not. You know, it incites that feeling straight away, you know, to immediately jump to any number of conclusions. They may be right, they may be wrong, but what I'm saying is these types of things are really the challenge, and the definition of the emotional qualities are antagonistic to clear reasoning, as my boy Sherlock would say. So with that in mind, let's have a look.
We just want to thank everyone in the community for all the support we've seen. We've felt so helpless, and seeing everybody out here really looking and helping out really means a lot.
So, tell us what happened the night the kids went missing.
Okay, so first of all, right, their kids have gone missing. Nobody can really say with like a sort of dictionary definition level of certainty what you would do in that scenario unless you're placed into that scenario, right? You can say with a reasonable level of assuredness, because you imagine how you would be reacting, right? But what we can say with a degree of certainty is that it is a highly emotionally charged situation. So no matter what feelings are being felt, they would be high up on the scale. Here, their displays are very low down. It's a very forced expression within the eyebrows because there's nothing matched in the lower half. You could tell from the way that she breathes whether they would be indents in the mask or not. You could see it in the shadow. So you could tell that there's a very internal level of control going on, so that these are forced, you know? Sadness ebbs and flows when you're feeling particularly dark levels of it. It's not It's not an emotional state that is singular, particularly when you're a mother who's lost their child. You know, there's sadness, there's fear, there's anger, there's concern, there's guilt, there's all of these other whirlwind of elements that are going on, and it's not just in that, oh, you can't see, it's not just in that same fixed position, you know, with the slight raise and pull together of which sadness is indicative. Trezell, on the other hand, wow, he is the very definition of unreactive. She's got a lot of anxiety steps, pacing back and forth. Anxiety is not a direction of blame in this stage. She could be feeling high degrees of anxiousness over awaiting the return of her kids, or it could be anxiety at the result of this public display and having to lie because she's because she's experiencing some levels of discomfort. But him, you've got the overtly masculine display, right? When you look at thumbs in body language, thumbs are an extension of the fig leaf display for crotch framing. I'm not going to stand up and put my crotch in the middle of the screen, but thumbs accurately display a male crotch in terms of a presentation of how they feel in regards to masculinity, right? The thumbs outside of the pocket. If you think of every cliche country and western CD singer that you've seen of the guys stood there in double denim, this is by no means current because I don't know current country and western music. I'm talking very old, very cliche. The thumbs are always out as a display of the masculinity that they're looking to exude, right? It's a caricatured example, but it's the best way I can get it to you. So we've got the same thing here with this display. This is a way for him to demonstrate how strong he feels he is in this particular scenario. So this would be one of those where he has an exertion of control over her. There's very much a supplicant dynamic between the two. What do you want, Papa? He wants to try and get involved here. Come on, come up this side then. I'm talking about unpleasant things. Oh. You want to say hello to the people at home? Okay. And my pup wants to get involved as well now. Guys, Daddy's working. Come on, sit down now. There we go. And another thing about the way men fold their arms, right? You can tell the ones that are looking to demonstrate their physical stature, whether it be a legitimate physical stature or the fact that they feel like they're big, you know? So a bodybuilder who's particularly proud of his guns will demonstrate this in the same way that somebody with anorexia might. I'm engaging in reductio ad absurdum to... It's not particular to a physiological framework, right? It's how they think they feel within their own body. So if a guy is looking to assert his dominance, he does this with the thumbs, and he's looking to try and make these as big as he possibly can in that scenario, because clearly he works out from the look of him and the shirt, he's either a runner or a cyclist, one of the two. But this is that dynamic at play here. He steps slightly forward. She's taking the supplicant dynamic. So if there is any kind of collusion or confirmation that goes on between the two of them, he will be the person that she'll look to as a way to try and calm herself, or he'll at some stage give her, you know, the shut up eyes.
Okay.
From our yard.
Okay. It was cold. I was gonna make a fire. There's a lot of wood in this area right here next to our house. I opened up the back gate. I'm throwing wood, bringing it inside the house. My wife's inside. She was actually wrapping gifts, so we thought it was a good idea that our youngest two go outside and play with chalk on the back patio.
Wrapping gifts. So this is just before Christmas then, maybe? Or their birthdays are quite recently. I mean, either way, right? they don't live in a one-room house. So there's no reason for the kids to be taken outside just to get out of the way of wrapping presents. And I can only speak from experience as a parent who's done Christmas by himself as well, and for everybody else that's done Christmas themselves. When you got two young kids, from the looks of those photos, I missed the age, but from the looks of those photos, they're only young, 2, 3, 4 years old, something like that. They won't be staying up till midnight, will they? Right? Watching TV and late night talk shows. Wrap the gifts when they go to bed. Get the wood, leave them in the house where it's warm. You go out in the cold and you get the wood. So that's an incongruence to the story for me. And if you look at where that freeze has stopped, there's nothing that suggests these two are a couple, right? Husbands and wives, boyfriends and girlfriends, wives and wives, husbands and husbands, whatever couple you're in a couple, you're in a team, right? And in particularly stressful, sad, terrifying scenarios, you look to provide comfort for the other person because you feel isolated. Particularly within a moment like this. If go back to the McGanns, right? For whatever you want to say about them, there is at no point when they are by themselves where one is not displaying comfort for the other, or one is not providing some form of affection to the other person. There is none of that here. So best inference to draw from that, and it is a thin one because we're only basing it on one observation. We're a few seconds into the interview here. So one thin idea to come from is this isn't a pleasant home at all. Male dominance, emotional distance between the two.
Not let them go on the dirt in the backyard. We keep them close. They was playing with chalk, and I came in the house. I saw them there.
That was a weird moment that she just shared. So if we look at the way she looks at him when he says something in particular, I was watching her then, so I wasn't thinking about what he said. 1 second.
Play with chalk on the back patio. Do not let them go on the dirt in the backyard. We keep them close. They was playing with chalk, and
playing with chalk. So this whole playing in the backyard is it's in confirmation glance territory, but it's not the way that the traditional confirmation glances are seen, right? So it looks like that she's looking at him, but with there being a number of TV crews there may be other people behind the cameras. So maybe she's looking at the other people to see how well this story is being received. That's where the confirmation glance, that's where the confirmation glance is. That's what I'm going to go for. There's other people there. And if there are, that's what makes sense of the confirmation glance.
Came in the house. I saw them there. I went in the house. I came back out. I didn't see them now. I immediately went back in, asked my wife, did you see the boys? She said, no, they should be outside playing with chalk. I said, well, I didn't see them, so I came back outside and I started searching my backyard. I searched the whole thing. I realized that I left the gate open and I panicked, came inside the house, searched the house.
I don't think this guy knows what panic is. This guy's got a high degree of emotional damage, right? Because this framework that he's developed in terms of how he's comforting himself to make him able to give this discussion, thumbs folded. The folded isn't what people would jump to in terms of oh, he's guarded. He's crossed his arms. He's keeping himself guarded. They've said several times it's cold, right? First of all, and he is only wearing a thin top. So yeah, this isn't, in my opinion, so far, this isn't looking good for them. I'd want to be going to the backyard to have a look at the chalk that was there, if they're playing with chalk. I'm not sure if that's an American way of describing playing things like hopscotch and the like, or just drawing outside. I didn't grow up in the States. We just played hopscotch, but it was done with chalk, so that's just what I'm presuming as a result. But either way, what I'd want to go out and have a look at what the chalk was doing at the backyard, where it is. Okay. Several times he's mentioned dirt. You can't draw on dirt with chalk, so I'd want to look at the areas where chalk could be drawn on to see its relationship towards the backyard. You get a sense of, and it is only really just a sense, but the kind of time frame in terms of somebody coming into the yard, removing the children, exit points, that type of thing. Because you think about it, if this were a pincer move in the military, you've got mum in the house, dad in the yard, children in between. So I'd be looking at exit patterns, what he's doing, where he has to go out of the gate to get the wood. Blind sites, blind spots, right? These are everything that I would be thinking about. But moreover, his delivery has the laboured response of a prepared story. So we did this, we did this, we did this. And if you notice, he's living up here. He's living up here in... this isn't an eye-accessing Q thing, because I've not really found a great deal of evidence that supports that anyway. But you can tell when somebody is delivering something they've remembered through how they talk about it. You know, if I was talking about what I did yesterday, I would be saying things like, so I got up in the morning and then I had my porridge, took the dogs out for a walk. When I came back, I exercised for a little bit, put a film on, this type of thing. It's got that laboured beat kind of response, and it's got the tonality of get over the next hurdle, because this is the next thing, right? Played through from this story they've created. And again, a few seconds, I'll let it run for a bit more, otherwise this video will take forever. But in terms of a questioning standpoint, I'd be looking to apply playing with the chronology of the situation. So as somebody who would cross-examine, not in a legal perspective, but somebody who would question that, whatever you want to call it, I would be looking to make a mental note of the chronology of details that he has given me, and asking questions about them, making sure that I play with the order, asking what he did, go back to a moment of what he did last. He's not finished with the list, but whatever he did last, and then ask him what he did a few beats before that. Was it this? And he'll be able to struggle with the delivery of that, because it's made up in terms of a domino effect. It's tough to reverse engineer those dominoes falling.
That's me and my wife. Once that hadn't pan out, I got in the van. I looked down the street, both directions. It was getting dark, getting cold, and I got in the van and I hit a bunch of corners. I went down this street. I turned my light on. I searched. I called their names. Talked to a gentleman on the street on the other side over there. He didn't see me. So then I came home and I told my wife we need to call the cops. It's getting dark and I need help. We gotta get going. So I called the cops. Cops came. First thing they did was tell us to stay in the house so they can get a hold of us. And they had us just sitting there, and we wanted to keep searching. But everybody came out in droves, and I wanted to thank you guys that night, but we couldn't go outside.
The cops told us the best are out here.
The best are out here searching. And we appreciate it, and nobody ever could tell, we could never talk to anybody. And now...
Okay, so that's the story finished, right? if you look at where they're, if you look at it in terms of not necessarily locusts of control, because if you're talking about, if you are a type of person that says, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, then your locus of control are here, right? Hey, Bubba. And then if you are a person who says something like, when we were here, we met this person, and this person said this, and they did this, you know, this says that your locusts are outward in terms of where your control is sat. Locusts within this particular framework should not leave the children, right? They should not leave the children. If you are a parent who's had your children taken from you by whatever ungodly means it was, that's the only thing that's in your head, right? That's when you start to look into stress behaviors of things like not eating, not thinking clearly, breathing labored, emotions all over the place, scatty, virtual mania kind of displays going on. Nothing here. It's too labored, it's too controlled, it smells to high heaven of a prepared statement. And every part of their focus is thanking the neighborhood, thanking this, because you reinforce this, oh, feel sorry for me, oh, thank you for doing this for me. You reinforce that type of emotional cycle, I suppose would probably be the best word. It's Cialdini principle in terms of reciprocity, right? We did this for you, you gain thanks, blah, 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 blah. The less people feel sorry for them, the more... now, let me think how to phrase that better. The less people feel sorry for them, the less they will do. So the more on their own they will be in that particular scenario, right? So everything within this is geared up to set them up as victims. You know, police told us to do this, everybody did this for us, blah, 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 blah. Sets you down as the, oh, woe is me, feel sorry for me moment. Whereas when something has been taken from you, you don't want people's sadness, you don't want people's apologies, you just want it back. I mean, if you take even something really arbitrary, like if you've ever, I don't know, lent somebody a book that you really hold dear and they haven't given it back to you for X amount of time that really goes past the point of being able to read it, then next time you see them, book, get the book back. Now imagine that with something as arbitrary as a book, you know, just spout it up to your children, your family members.
The issue.
We just want to thank everybody.
We really want to
and,
thank you guys.
Please, if anybody has seen them, please call, let somebody know.
Call the cops. Call California the City Police Department. Call them and let them know what you've seen, if you see anything. Our boys, they are going to be rambunctious, okay? They are going
That's
to
weird.
be...
So if we look at this whole thing from a statement analysis kind of approach, as in just the words alone and nothing more, right? This is the first time they've started to mention the boys. And if you look at the dynamic in terms of rambunctious is a word that doesn't fit within the paradigm of how they've started to speak so far, right? It's another level of incongruence. It's an anomaly. And as we know, when somebody's been deceptive, these types of anomalies can happen.
Here in this area, and I really would like to go in the houses, but it's not because I want to invade people's privacy. I just want to know if make sure. That's it. Because I don't... Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. If you got any questions.
Oh, no, you're good.
Oh.
So this guy has issues with control as well. I wouldn't let him in my house purely because, well, initially I'm thinking, based upon the deceptive markers that I've seen so far, it's prime for evidence planting. He has no right, rhyme or reason to go inside anybody's house, let alone to check that. So if we explore that logical dynamic of somebody who is as controlling as what he appears to be, he's already getting out in front of the fact that people will be trying to cast blame upon him and his wife by extension. But I just want to go into other people's houses. It's not because that's the seed that he's trying to drop. But he's got to be a much better performer than what he is. He's got the tonality of somebody that's either been around the military or that type of regimental respect in the way that he talks.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to say, this is the first time we're hearing from you guys, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I can't even fathom it. For you guys, for people who are thinking that there's some kind of foul play involved, we just spoke.
This is where
to
we
the
should see
biological
something.
Mother, she says she had a conversation with you
Biological mother's there? Ooh, this could get interesting.
guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved. That she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly the point. And if we can find our babies, then guess what? That's no. And that's all I want is to find our babies. That's it. And I talked to her this morning, and I really wanted to tell her that I am completely sorry because we were entrusted with her children, and they came to us, and they became our children.
Oh, so they've adopted them.
And they are our children, and so we want them back. So please, if y'all could get back on what you guys are doing, we should be able to get a hold of somebody, but they took all of our tech, so they wanted to, I guess, just rule us out, which makes sense. That's part of the investigation. So that's pretty much it.
Now, I'm going to use a very weird analogy, but it's got its roots in the psychology of belief, right? If you are performing a magic trick, say, and one sec, I'll grab a coin. So, the best way to get rid of doubt or blame or an idea from somebody's mind is, right, so when you do this, the belief is, once you do this, that the coin is here, right? So you change up the difference in terms of this and then this, right? You change up the pattern. So where's the belief? The belief is that the coin is here. So you immediately have to start talking then as a result to show, and it becomes something else. You don't know what to then believe as a result. Same thing that they're doing here. It was there, by the way. But like, it's a weird analogy. If you want to cancel it out as a term of focus, you draw attention to it in an indirect way. If I was to hold this coin here, I need to do something that shows that my hand is empty. I need to actually flash you an open palm so that when I do this on this side and you get a bigger glimpse into this area, both hands look empty, even though it isn't, right? The same is said for stories. If you want to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, you know you're going to be blamed in that scenario, but you want to divert attention away from it, acknowledge it. So he's had practice in creating stories before.
Have you guys you talked to the police all last night.
Yes.
What?
Cameraman doesn't like
you
his
guys
thumbs either.
willfully gave them your
Everything.
technology,
Yes.
the car.
Yes.
Did they get it? How did they get a search warrant? Did you
I
guys?
No
I don't see
idea.
why they got one, but they got one.
Yeah,
We would
they
have let them
didn't
take
need one,
anything.
but-
We would have let them take everything. We let them come in and search with us. We asked them to come do that.
What did they take?
Just tech. And that's it. Like our phones.
From the house, though, did they?
Yeah, you can hear the other people there.
I guess, should I answer that or?
Answer it to us, yeah.
Okay, so into the, okay, and I guess, I don't even know.
I see. Yeah, we seriously felt like
So the breathing of somebody that's experiencing anxiety, stress, fear, concern, anxious. God, I think my son just dropped his bass guitar. This level of concern, it comes from here, right? And we're lucky that with the shadows that are cast, we could see it move, right? And when you're breathing that heavily to get the chest involved, we are lucky because of the shadows. We would see them moving within the mask. That ain't happening. Everything's depleted. Everything's dropped down in both. Internally, they're experiencing a great level of inhibition because outwardly, there's nothing going on. If you were to watch this without sound, it would be just as easy to think that this woman had been involved in a mugging, say, because she's got a little degree of sadness on her face. All of these other markers regarding their deception and control don't speak very good. God, that was terrible English. Don't speak very well about them.
we needed to be out here. We did. Again, we were told the best are out here looking already. Just to stay put. They have more questions.
We were told to
There
not
was
to do.
literally
We
a
can't
cop
do anything.
with
Oh
us the whole
no!
time in there.
He had sitting down. We would ask, can we go help? They had to sit
Said
down.
nope.
He said, no, we got the best out there.
So
we
it's
need
not-
you guys here in case we have more questions.
I don't want you guys thinking
We
we
don't.
didn't try. We actually
We
looked
tried.
before we called.
There you go. I don't want you guys thinking that we didn't try. You know, when a magician says, I don't want you thinking that I'm doing anything funny. It's because he's doing something funny, right? That type of cognitive control over attention. You look at it in terms of misdirection, right? If you control what people are thinking about, you control where they're looking and where their attentions are. And so far, they're just trying to get their attention off themselves, but doing a terrible job. A terrible job.
We
Police.
yes.
And I imagine the mind-boggling part is the search for information. What happened? Where are they?
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And we're, yeah.
And just so we are able to present the information correctly, at what time did you guys notice your kids went missing, and at what time were they reported missing to the police?
It's about, I believe, I think it was about 4:30, going on 5. It was getting dark, like I said.
5-ish.
5-ish. That's about it. That's when everything played out.
And then when did you guys call the police to report them missing?
I don't,
After we searched
yeah.
a little bit around here, it was dark, so we definitely we got worried.
Would you say it was maybe within a
Maybe got worried you were going to get caught. If I was investigating here, my concern would be that they are trying, like the news guy, journalist, whatever they're called, he's trying to present the information correctly, but correctly is only on their word, and their word isn't truly standing up here. There's a lot of nonverbals that speak to deception, preparedness, control. Yeah, control definitely from him. There's a lot of nonverbals that speak to deception, preparedness, control. Yeah, control definitely from him. Control definitely from him. He's a man's man. Would fear the removal of his perceived level of status. That's what would be concerning me. Because you frame a time frame around wrong evidence, and you could be looking in entirely the wrong areas, the wrong spots. They have nothing more to go on other than the word of two people who I believe are being deceptive.
An hour, a couple hours?
No, it was within minutes of us getting finished with our search.
Okay.
It was within minutes.
But how long was your search? What time was it?
What do you guys want people at home to understand about this situation?
We didn't
For
do
them,
it. Something like that.
Even speaking about what you guys are feeling is difficult. What do you want them at home to understand about this whole situation?
We're going through it. It's difficult. I mean, everybody's making their own their own conclusions. They don't know anything. We're not sure like everything. We're not sure. We said what we knew. And
That's true. We said what we knew. Of course you did. Of course you did. Nah, that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now I'm gonna cut it on this bit here. We'll go to a few minutes further down the interview, because I can see from the little frames that pop up at the bottom on the iPad that looks like people get involved.
picked up or something.
That was my assumption.
Have they ever taken off of the yard
Nope.
before?
No,
Nope.
They've never taken off?
no.
You guys are new to Cal City, right?
Yep.
How long have you guys been living here?
Just 3 months.
It's crazy because y'all say y'all came out looking for the kids and y'all got neighbors that say y'all ain't even came out looking for no kids.
The neighbors weren't out here.
We were looking.
We were looking.
I'm just saying, bro, it's crazy, bro. I got kids of my own.
Where do
I
you
understand.
live?
Them little boys that y'all raising, them is my
I
biological
He's not
understand.
talking.
I understand,
Where's
bro.
this
I
guy?
don't leave kids
Oh, no,
outside,
And
bro.
I understand.
I have 9 kids.
4-year-old?
I have 9 kids.
There's
There's
outside in
no
the backyard
way
that I was
I'm
watching.
gonna leave my kids unattended.
3
Not
and
even
4-year-old
for a
though.
minute.
Like, you sit here,
I get
like,
9 kids. Wow. Fair play. She must be fried after a day.
We get that. We get it.
They were in the
We feel
backyard.
it.
You don't even look like you worried,
But
bro.
you said the
I've-
gate.
I've
but
been-
why would,
I've been
okay,
going
y'all
through
know
it
y'all-
all
Y'all
few
know y'all
days.
finna go inside the house, right? Y'all are foster parents, right?
No.
Okay,
we're
well, y'all
adopted
adopted
parents.
them,
Yeah,
right?
they are
Okay,
children.
shut the gate. Go in the house. Why did it take both of y'all to go in the house and leave them outside by themselves?
I understand
And
that.
y'all know
Why
the
haven't
gate
you-
was
why
open.
haven't y'all been out with the people around this neighborhood looking with the kids?
We,
Because
oh, goodness.
we already told
already
on
said
camera.
that.
We
I
already
see
told on
y'all
camera.
on no cameras last night. I
No.
didn't even see y'all out here praying with them people. Them people was out to take care of my nephew. Not this not supposed to happen.
I understand.
Y'all was supposed to take care of my nephew.
I understand.
You act-
If any
Nephew? Is she related? I understand. I understand. Yeah. There's a complete unwillingness to engage with her in any kind of dialogue. You know, if you look at both of them, she had her hands planted firmly in her pockets. He's never broken from this type of period. And when they turned to face, it was like they were mannequins. It's a small world after all. You know, it's control. It's fear. It's an unwillingness to engage.
somebody's watching at home who knows anything, or if somebody who has these kids, if they're watching, what is your message to them?
The message has always been
Gap between them's getting
as soon as
bigger as
possible,
well.
call the California City Police Department. And please bring our babies home. And that's that.
That's one of the reasons why we.
Who was that in the background? That was somebody really crying then. Did you hear that?
Somebody's watching at home who knows anything, or if somebody who has these kids, if they're watching, what is your message to them?
The message has always been as soon as possible, call the California City Police Department. and please bring our babies home. And that's that.
That's one of the reasons why we actually didn't want to do
This
this.
is the reason why. Because we were under orders to stay in the house and stay because they're going to need to contact us, and we cannot go outside. And
so you'd be thinking, why did you come out then? Right, fair enough. That sounds like something that you may be ordered to do if the kids were going to return, to not cause a stir in the neighbourhood, you know, in terms of breach of the peace as it might be in the UK. I get that, right? So why did you come out? Unless you're looking to try and jump on a level of control over people's perceptions regarding you and what you did. Let's set the record straight. Nothing. There's nothing that says any sort of fondness between these two guys at all. There's nothing that says husband and wife.
that was the issue. And that was the issue. We were under orders by the cops to stay home in the house and let the professionals look.
But you just said that they were your children. If they were your children, regardless of what somebody told you, wouldn't you want to go look for them?
Well, we have cop actually posted in the front door right there.
How cold it is at night?
I totally understand.
Totally
that.
understand.
We understand.
If you guys actually have that question, you should ask the police officer.
The situation, but do you see how it seems that
Yes.
that the kids was left unattended? You guys went in the house and then the kids disappeared. How did they disappear?
Exactly.
That woman in the background, that's not a man crying, that's a woman crying in the background. Is that the real mother? But in terms of congruence, right, well, that's what you'd be hearing.
That's the word we try to figure out.
No, it doesn't make sense. How did they disappear?
No breathing.
How did they go out? You
All
guys
control,
have
there's
the
no
house
panic.
supervised already. And my question is, why were they the only two children out? Where were the rest of the kids?
The rest of the kids were with grandma.
With who?
They left. They went on vacation.
So they didn't.
No, because they're too young. We didn't. We watched them, and it turns out that happened.
How did the
All right, guys, sorry, I know
They're
that,
older.
just really quickly before we forget, first and last names, spelling of both for both of you guys.
So, excuse me, say it again.
Just first and last name,
Spelling of who or what?
or just your first and last name.
Our names.
Trezell West
Jacqueline
is
West.
Trezell West.
Okay, and for you?
Is that formality for reporting then, maybe?
I'm sorry, one more time.
JACQUELANE.
Okay. West.
Yes.
Okay, guys, we'll let you go.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
No.
I'm in the house. Her in first. Yeah. That's shocking. So yeah, in case it wasn't obvious by my my observations regarding that, I don't believe what they're saying at all. High levels of neglect, story level incongruence, things that are left able to explore, a time frame that can't be confirmed. What else? You've got the misalignment in terms of where their focus is, their lack of emotional displays, their lack of comfort between the two, the preparedness of the storyline, tonality markers, breathing markers. Like when you gain observations that get into more than single digits, when you get into the high level double digits, it's not looking good. So yeah, that's poor kids, poor little boys. What a shame. Here's hoping they return home soon, fit and well. Yeah. So guys, if you got anything out of that on an educational level, it's tough to really mention it in a positive light with it being such a troubling story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed that, drop a comment. Let me know what you think in regards to these pair as well, and how the story's developing over there. Because with it being local news in the States, I won't see it over here. if there's any other links and information you think I should be aware of, again, let me know. But yeah, with that in mind, I hope everyone's keeping safe and well out there, wherever you are, whatever country you're tuning in from. Thank you. New episodes of the podcast on Friday. And yeah, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate the support. Talk to you soon.